Michael Bakari Jordan was born on February 9, 1987, in Santa Ana, California, though his soul would forever be anchored to the East Coast. When he was just 2 years old, his parents, Michael A. Jordan, a quiet and disciplined supervisor at JFK Airport, and Donna Jordan, a dedicated guidance counselor, moved the family to Newark, New Jersey. In a household defined by the noble promise of his middle name, Bakari Michael grew up alongside his older sister Jamila and younger brother Khalid. Newark in the early 90s was a city of grit and potential, and it was here that Michael learned the value of community and the weight of responsibility. His entry into the spotlight was never part of a grand design. It began at age 11 following a chance suggestion from a receptionist at his mother's doctor's office. Donna, thinking primarily of future college tuition, leaned into the idea. What started as modeling for Kmart and Toys R Us quickly spiraled into a whirlwind of auditions. By 1999, at just 12 years old, Michael landed brief but pivotal appearances in Cosby and The Sopranos. However, it was the 2001 film Hardball, starring alongside Keanu Reeves, that gave the world its first real glimpse of his natural magnetism. Playing Jamal, the oldest boy on an inner-city baseball team, Michael displayed a maturity that far exceeded his 14 years, marking the beginning of a professional journey that would span decades. As Michael entered his teenage years at Newark Arts High School, he began a dual life, a star basketball player by day and a rising dramatic force by night. In 2002, he delivered a performance that remains etched in television history. As Wallace in HBO's The Wire, Michael portrayed a young boy struggling to maintain his innocence within the drug trade of Baltimore. The scene of his character's death became a cultural touchstone, showcasing Michael's rare ability to evoke profound empathy from an audience. Following The Wire, he spent 3 years on the soap opera All My Children, where he stepped into a role vacated by a young Chadwick Boseman, a poetic start to a lifelong brotherhood. By the late 2000s, Michael moved to Austin, Texas, to join the cast of Friday Night Lights as quarterback Vince Howard. This role allowed him to blend his real-life athletic prowess with a complex narrative of redemption and leadership. During this decade, he was a silent architect, meticulously building a reputation for being the hardest-working person in the room. He capped off this era with the 2012 sci-fi hit Chronicle, proving he could carry a major studio film with both charisma and intensity. Part 3, The Coogler Partnership and the Rise of a Titan, 2013 to 2233, the trajectory of Michael's life changed forever when he met director Ryan Coogler. Their first collaboration, Fruitvale Station, 2013, was a searing biographical drama about the final day of Oscar Grant. Michael's performance was hailed as the birth of a superstar, earning him comparisons to a young Denzel Washington. This film solidified his mission. He would no longer just be an actor for hire, he would be a storyteller for his people. This partnership blossomed into the Creed trilogy, where Michael took the mantle of the Rocky legacy. As Adonis Creed, he transformed his physical form through grueling year-long training cycles, but more importantly, he explored the psyche of a man fighting to create his own name. In 2018, he shocked the world as Eric Killmonger in Black Panther. Killmonger wasn't just a villain. He was a revolutionary whose ideologies sparked global debates on colonialism and justice. As Michael entered his late 30s, he sought a project that would challenge every facet of his craft. He reunited with Ryan Coogler for the 2025 supernatural thriller Sinners. Set in the 1932 Jim Crow South, the film featured Michael in a dual role as twin brothers, Smoke and Stack. One was a brooding, scarred soldier of the Great War, the other a charismatic bootlegger. To play twins was a feat of technical brilliance. Michael had to act against himself, creating two distinct souls bound by blood and a terrifying secret involving ancient vampires. The film was a masterpiece of black horror, blending historical trauma with high-stakes action. Critics were floored by Michael's ability to differentiate the brothers through subtle shifts in posture, gaze, and vocal cadence. On the night of March 15, 2006, at the 98th Academy Awards, the culmination of 27 years of work was realized. When his name was called for Best Actor, the Dolby Theater erupted in a standing ovation that seemed to last an eternity. Michael walked to the stage with his mother, Donna, as his date. In a tearful speech, he thanked the giants who came before him, Sidney Poitier, Denzel Washington, and his late friend Chadwick Boseman. He He became only the sixth black man in history to win the award, a moment that bridged the gap between Hollywood's past and a more inclusive future. The years following his Oscar win were perhaps his most impactful. Michael began to pivot toward a life of profound philanthropy and mentorship. He remained a devoted son, famously living with his parents in a home he bought for them in Sherman Oaks, citing his love for them as his greatest grounding force. He became a champion for lupus research, inspired by his mother's battle with the disease, and funded numerous art scholarships for Newark youth. As he aged, Michael moved into a godfather role in the industry. He didn't just produce movies, he produced people. He mentored dozens of young actors and directors, ensuring that the doors he forced open would never close again. His later years were spent in quiet dignity, often returning to Newark to oversee the community centers he had built. When the end finally came, it was peaceful, surrounded by the family that had been his North Star since his days as a child model, Michael B. Jordan's life was a testament to the fact that talent is a gift, but character is a choice. He left behind a world that was more colorful, more just, and infinitely more inspired because he had walked within it. As the sun began to set on the extraordinary life of Michael Bakari Jordan, he did not retreat into the shadows of Hollywood history. Instead, he returned to where his heart had always beat the loudest, the streets of Newark. In his final decade, Michael became more than a cinema icon. He became a quiet architect of hope. He spent his days at the Jordan Center for Media and Justice, a sprawling campus he built to provide free film school and athletic training to kids who, like him, once walked those city blocks with nothing but a dream. On a warm evening in late autumn, Michael sat on the porch of his family home, the same home he had bought for his parents decades ago. He watched the next generation of storytellers, young men and women carrying cameras and scripts, walking past, their faces lit with the same noble promise his name had always carried. He looked down at his hands, weathered by time and the physical demands of a career spent portraying fighters, kings, and survivors. Next to him, on a simple wooden table, sat his 2026 Academy Award, its gold surface reflecting the orange glow of the New Jersey sky.